What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the third episode of a podcast with Upside. I'm your host, Jay Felicio. You can find me on Twitter at GMenJ. And with me, as always, is my right-hand man, the Wanda to my vision, Mr. Dan Turner. You can find him on Twitter at EagleDanFF. What's up, Dan? You doing all right tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing good. I think I might like that one a little better than the Burt to my area.
That is very current events of you. I like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
topical.
Yeah, I was like, you know what can I go with? Everybody's talking about WandaVision. So before we get to our guest, I did want to say to everybody, thank you to all those who have sent messages, responded to my tweets, DMs, text, everything, all your thoughts and prayers with me dealing with COVID. I still am dealing with it, but I'm doing great. Just a matter of not being contagious anymore. So I just wanted to take a second and say thank you, everybody. It really means the world to me. It helped me through a tough time. So thank you, guys. But with us tonight, we've got two guys who we kind of like. We've gotten pretty close to over the past few months. They're all right.
It's iffy.
You can find them at 14 Personnel, among many other places. Justin Wright and Marco Enriquez. And I'll start with you, Justin. Why don't you tell everybody wherever they can find you?
Yeah. So main Twitter handle would be Justin_14P. All of my work, for the most part, is with 14 Personnel. I recently started over at DLF or DynastyLeagueFootball.com as well. So I'll have, articles coming out there here shortly. But yeah, 14P and DLF, those are the places to find me.
All right, Marco, what about you?
Yeah, well, and if you like Justin or want to find a better version of him, you can find me at Marco_14P, and you can find me at 14 Personnel, of course. And then similar to Justin, I'm in a couple other places. I am also with Going for Two, where you guys are at, which has been awesome. I know Dan's shaking his head.
That's right. Hardly.
Hey, for Going for Two, I have 3 articles this week, which Dan should be very proud of me. Yeah, exactly.
One more dropping tomorrow, 12:30.
That's right. But I'm also co-hosting the Dynasty Gambit, which is launching, I believe, February 18th. We're going to be every other Thursday. I think we're opposite Thursdays of you guys.
Yep, you guys are going to be the opposite time, opposite weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can also find me. I'm writing articles for Dynasty Nerds as well now. So you guys can find me over there, dynastynerds.com. We got a ton of good stuff coming out. And I think I have some player profiles coming out for them in the next couple of weeks as well. So
nice. You guys are all over the place. And why don't you tell everybody, too, about the combine that you got going on?
Yeah, Justin, do you want to explain it or do you want me to?
You go ahead, man. You got it. You're the better version. So just go nuts.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, the slightly spicier version than Justin. But that's why I'm Enriquez and he's right.
Mexican flair. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. But yeah,
so like fantasy food, so that's why I like you a little better, Marco. So.
That makes sense. Me too, man. But the fantasy combine, it's 14P Fantasy Combine. This is our first year ever doing it. And basically what we're doing is we are having a lot of fun while raising awareness and raising some funds for St. Jude's and Melanoma Research Alliance. And so you can go to 14personnel.com or you can probably go to 14P_pod on Twitter or, find me or Justin on Twitter. And you can find all the info you need. We're asking people to participate, whether it's funny or serious, in some combine events.
Good videos.
Yeah, we've gotten, I think, like 8 or 9 videos already of some combine events, which are a blast. P2W Fantasy,
absolutely.
He's been in there.
Great entry from him. That was fantastic.
Yeah, so basically just submit a video of you doing one or as many of the combine events as you'd like. And like I said, they can be funny or serious. And all you have to do to submit a video is tweet it out at 14P_pod, hashtag 14P Fantasy Combine, and donate at least $1. That's all we're asking is you donate at least $1 on our website. And like we said earlier, all proceeds go to the St. Jude and Melanoma Research Alliance.
I saw the second that you read Shane's comment. You choked up a little bit there, Marco.
Yeah, I know.
Some of my favorite people and Justin.
Right.
I've taken a beating over the last minute. This is
JL is talking to Dan and Marco because Dan is Spanish too. So we, I don't. Justin and I can't read that, but
Marco failed Spanish in high school. It's a fun fact.
I didn't. I got a D.
Hey, C's get degrees. I don't know about D's though. So
D's get you through high school.
I got JL. There you go. Our guy JL and Shane and a couple others in the chat. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. So for those of you who have not watched our divisional showdown yet, basically what we do is go team by team and we address each position and go over fantasy storylines. So all of us got together last night, came up with a few questions that we think that will help you guys. And, it's still early, so there's a lot of questions to be had, who's going to be under center and things of that nature. So we'll go ahead. We'll start rolling with your guys' favorite team, the Chicago Bears. And
that's right.
I'm sure you guys will rattle on and we'll wind up talking about the Bears for 35, 40 minutes or something like that. We'll try to make sure that doesn't happen. But if anybody has any questions, feel free, throw them in the chat and we'll address them as well. So we will start off with everybody's favorite running back. How does Tariq Cohen's return change the value of David Montgomery next year? And Justin, I know you're very passionate about this, so we will start with you on this. And before we do have a question, Shane wants to know if you are drinking wine.
No, it's water tonight. My car has been snowed in for 3 days now, and I can't go to the store and get wine.
So we're going to get grumpy, Justin.
Yeah, I'm not happy.
We're going to get the courtside Karen version of Justin.
Is that different from any other Justin that normally is around? Or, that's pretty much the same thing.
No, it's just a sober, grumpy Justin. That's the main difference.
That's the least fun Justin there is.
Right.
This has not been a great start for me. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Redeem yourself, Let's go.
So
I think go ahead.
When it comes to Tariq Cohen and Dave Montgomery, again, as a Bears fan, love Dave Montgomery. I think he is a good talent. But what we saw at the end of the year is not who David Montgomery is. The difference between what we saw it was a small sample size, 3 games with Tariq Cohen versus the 12 without. Or 11 without, excuse me. You saw an uptick in over 2 points a game in solely receiving work, and that excludes your touchdowns. That's the type of thing that takes you from, or type of gap that'll take you from, RB4 down to RB10. And then on top of that, there is a difference in red zone work and rushing attempts. So, all around, Tariq Cohen's coming back is going to hurt Dave Montgomery. I really don't see any path to where Demo sees an uptick in value.
Yeah, like we were talking about before the show started. Yeah. I looked up the game splits on RotoViz between games with Tariq Cohen and without him. 19 games with him, he averages 11 points per game. 12 games without Tariq Cohen, he averages 19 points per game. That's an 8-point swing. That is a lot. That's over a touchdown per game.
I will say that's probably very heavily weighted off of the cake 6-game stretch. I don't even think 19 is typically going to be his. If Cohen's out, you expect 19 points. I don't think it's even that. I think it's much lower.
Right. Absolutely. Marco, what you think?
Yeah. Well, so, I agree. I think we saw where did Montgomery end? Did he end as running back 4?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. And so, that's insane. It makes me feel good because I was in a lot of bets that he would be a top 24 running back this year. So I won a lot of those. But his value really can only go down. Even if you just look at the running back 1 position or being a running back 1, that being a top 12 running back, there's so much turnover year in, year out where, typically you see 5 to 7 guys that aren't running back 1s the next year. And it's David. When I look at that list, David Montgomery is the easiest one where I'm like, you're going to fall out because you're not only getting Tariq Cohen. There's questions at who's going to be the quarterback now for next year. There's questions about who's going to be calling the plays even for next season. And who knows, maybe they even go get another running back in the draft because we've seen so much weakness behind David Montgomery at the running back position. And if they bring in not just Tariq Cohen, but if they bring in another guy, that's just going to muddy up those waters quite a bit.
Go ahead and say it, Marco. We know who you want them to bring in. Go ahead and say it.
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner? Did you butcher that?
Dang it! I butchered it. Michael Carter.
Michael
young
Turner.
Michael Turner.
Wow.
I wouldn't be against either.
Yeah, you got that right. He was a beast back in the day.
That's right. Michael Carter is who I want the Bears to go get.
Justin, you are getting drug in the
Yeah,
the
this
chat.
has just been.
So JL said, "Scrape it off, you're lazy." Shane said, "You can walk." JL then said, "Your hair, it's grown out a little bit. It's all right, but it's definitely not great."
Never regretted going on a podcast more than this at this moment.
And Jeff, it's a character assassination going right now. And also, I don't know if he's talking. I'm assuming he's talking about, probably talking about David Montgomery, but we're just gonna say it's you.
Yeah, I think it's Justin.
We saw my combine video. It wasn't good. I struggle with agility, so that's probably not great for football.
Agility and overall athleticism.
Yeah, that's
Dan,
the other part.
anything to add between Cohen and Montgomery?
Yeah. First, I'd like to thank Marco for the breaking news of Michael Turner's return to the NFL. Didn't see that coming.
I mean, that's what I'm good for, really.
But yeah, I think I agree with what you guys said. I think that last year was the peak of his value. Everything broke right pretty much for him to have that year. And something that we haven't really talked about even yesterday was if Allen Robinson leaves, there's not going to be a threat on the outside to take guys away from the box, so they can just stack the box and take away the run. So I mean, if you have Montgomery in a dynasty league, I would trade him like yesterday. But there's no way he can have that kind of production going forward at all.
Well, that's funny you said that, and that'll roll into our next question as well as a question from the chat from David Slatt. Say that 5 times fast. Is Mooney capable of being the team's wide receiver one if Allen Robinson leaves, or is he more of a solid wide receiver 2? Dan, start with you.
I don't know about a wide receiver run, but I feel like he has the speed to do that. I mean, he had some really good moments last year. I think just based on assuming, I'm assuming they're gonna maybe sign someone to replace Robinson if he leaves or draft someone. But as it currently stands now, he's gonna get that wide receiver 1 role in the depth chart because I don't think Anthony Miller is good enough to take that spot from him. He had some good things last year. He has 4.38 speed. He's not the tallest. He's only 5'10", but some short receivers can be that guy. So as it stands right now, I think he can slot into that role. And I think he'll have the opportunity and the target share to make some good things happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know if I see wide receiver 1 in his range of outcomes. Or just being a wide receiver 1 for an NFL team. But I do think he still has a lot of room to grow in a good way, because he showed so many good flashes. His route running this year was better than I would have ever expected it to be. And I think one of the things that has made him successful, even at, like Dan says, the size of 5'10", is he's really, really aggressive at the catch point. And that is something that is going to help him be a really solid wide receiver 2. And maybe one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league, honestly, if he can keep progressing. If not, then he's still a solid player, I think.
I think he really is what people wanted Darius Slayton to be. And by people, I mean
that's
me.
A good call.
Really me. I loved Darius Slayton coming into the season and it backfired hard. But he is a deep threat. I mean, about a fourth of his targets were just deep shots.
Yeah.
And the thing is he's so slight. He doesn't work over the middle. He just physically cannot. He's going to get destroyed, which is the reason you really can't have him as your wide receiver 1, I think. There is some limitation there just with size. So, again, he could be the wide receiver 1 there if we don't bring anybody in, but I'm still not expecting a high-end fantasy season even in that role. And by high-end, I mean wide receiver 15 or higher.
Right. He needs to be, like you said, he needs to be the guy after the guy. Excuse me. The guy after the guy, the complimentary piece, and have those big games.
Yeah, totally. It's so true.
Oh, you have no idea.
You guys know better than anybody.
Yeah, we're Bears fans, so he's usually either missing him or just completely ignores him, and he's just standing downfield like, hey.
Jeff wanted to clarify he does not think you are an NFL caliber prospect.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. CFL maybe, but NFL is probably out of it.
I don't even know about that. Jeff submitted a combine video. I think he could be an NFL prospect. Justin, on the other hand, I agree.
Jeff and his daughter both did
I was
better.
gonna say I would definitely draft Jeff Starter before I would draft Justin in a dynasty league. Just
Oh
saying.
yeah, that's easy.
My stock is tanking.
Yeah.
Speaking of quarterbacks, who do you guys think is under center for the Bears next year? And Justin, we'll start with you on this one. Who is the starting quarterback week 1 in 2021 for the Bears?
So we already got the news. It's not Mitch. That is just great news. I'm gonna be that made me so happy, even knowing that it could literally be anybody, but like anybody else, just not being Mitch is great.
Yes.
My guess, I'm going with Jameis Winston. I am going to speak that into existence.
The Saints are looking to lock him up, that they're not going to go forward with Taysom Hill.
Okay, first of all, love that. I'm still just going to speak this into existence. I need it to be Jameis Winston. I wanted the Bears to bring him in last season. Instead, we brought in Nick Foles. And I really believe it's going to be Jameis? No, but that is who I would like it to be. I really think it could be Fitz, though. That Fitzpatrick seems like a very legitimate choice there, and personally, I'm okay with that.
Stole my answer. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Like, want it to be Jameis? It's probably Fitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Justin and I were having a conversation a while ago, and I texted him, and I was like, "It's going to be Fitzpatrick. That is the most Bears signing of all time."
That's why I thought it too. I literally what is the most Bears type move they could make? Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Exactly. Should we get a young quarterback? No. Should we get a really good quarterback? No. Should we get an average journeyman quarterback? Nailed it. And let's pay him like $88 million. Guaranteed.
Jeff said too happening going with Tyrod. I can 100% see that happening.
Honestly, that's not a bad call.
I'd be fine with that. I'd be very happy. Give us someone that has some kind of mobility, please.
Yeah, honestly, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, that's when we were at our best with Mitch, realistically, is when you got him on the move. Mm-hmm. So I will take a quarterback that isn't a statue like Nick Foles. That's all I'm asking for.
Right, yeah. But I do think something to think about, too, with that, and I know we're talking long on the Bears here, but oh, gosh. I would love if the Bears went and got Darnold. Yeah. I don't think that they would, though. And the other thing, too, is like the Bears don't have a lot of money to work with. So, like, they're not going to go get a premier guy like Jameis Winston. Sure, that'd be great. But we're not going to be able to pay that guy. And so we're going to be able to pay the guy that really nobody wants. And that's what we do.
What do you guys think, Wentz?
I'd love that.
Justin is in love with Carson Wentz, so he'd like that.
I've dialed it back. I'm fine with Carson Wentz now. I really thought he was this
matchup, not full.
Hey, you can ask Dan. I'm with you, Justin. I still believe in Carson Wentz. I honestly do.
He's the perfect example of a change of scenery. And if they bring in Wentz through a trade, then I can almost guarantee they're going to use the transition tag on Robinson. That will be the move if they go in and bring in a big-time quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used Wright.
What?
I have no idea. We have no idea what you're talking about, Jeff. But Dan, who do you think is going to be under center for the Bears?
I think that both of you guys are the more likely options with Fitz and Winston. I'm going to go a little outside the box here. I think it's going to be Kyle Trask. I think they're going to draft Trask at 20, and he's going to start for them week 1 in 2021.
And then how long until he gets benched?
3 games.
For Nick Foles, right?
Yeah.
For Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right.
He's Mitch 2.0. And that's my worry with him. Like, I just see so much of Mitch in Kyle Trask, and it scares the hell out of me.
But listen, here's my rationale. The Bears love Mitch enough to take him that high the first time. They'll find Kyle Trask at a bargain at number 20.
Well, they'll probably trade up. They'll trade up and take him at 10.
Yeah, there you go.
As long as he doesn't drive a crappy Honda Civic, we're probably fine.
Yeah, that's Ryan Pace's jam.
God, he's the worst.
All right, we'll move on to the tight end position. And Marco and I are both members of the hashtag Cole Kmet Club.
Mm-hmm, represent
Cole Kmet next year. How high you think he's going to be drafted, and how high you think he's going to finish? Dan, what do you think?
Well, based on what my Twitter says every day, I expect him to be drafted number 1 overall. Otherwise, it's a huge disappointment.
That's honestly probably too late. You might need to go before 1 overall.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I think that if he's the guy in Chicago, I expect him to be a top 7 tight end next year. I think he's gonna, he shows all the traits to be a good one. At the end of the year, he had some pretty decent games to show like he has the ability to do so. It really all depends on who the quarterback is. Honestly, that's the major factor. And if Robinson leaves, because if Robinson leaves, that's all those targets have to go to somebody. And really, the best pass catcher on the team at that point would be Kmet. So if Robinson leaves, I expect Kmet's value to spike ridiculously.
Yeah, he had over 6 targets in 4 of the last 5 games. 7 twice, 8 once, 6, and then 2 in 1 game. You're 100% right. And Jeff is talking some smack, which I don't appreciate. Said too high and too low on Kmet. So, Jeff, you can leave. Honestly, there we go. I knew we'd have somebody in here. We got somebody.
There it is. Representing Scott.
Club talking about.
Well, I think the other thing to think about too with Kmet is he's not going to have to battle Jimmy Graham for targets anymore. And I mean, we know one of the most infuriating things that Matt Nagy does is he tries to feature the tight end when we don't have one. But now that we have one, maybe that will actually turn into production, So I think Kmet could be a really solid guy. I mean, obviously the hype is pretty crazy around him right now, but I really like him.
I do have bad news. Jimmy Graham is under contract for another year.
Yeah, but I'm not really worried about it because Kmet started taking over a little bit near the end.
I think he's been playing football longer than you guys have been alive.
Definitely longer than Justin.
I completely froze, so I didn't hear anything you said.
I said, I think Jimmy Graham has been playing football longer than you've been alive.
He's Tom Brady almost has. Tom Brady's real freaking close.
I believe it.
What about Frank Gore? He's got to be up there too.
Yeah, both of them are eerily close to my age.
All right, we got a question from the chat from the Vital 12 on Twitch. Start, bench, cut Cousins, Baker, and Tannehill. And I have a feeling that Shane is going to get triggered. So Dan, let's start with you on this one. Who are you starting? Who are you benching? And who are you cutting?
Are we assuming that Cousins stays on the Vikings? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. So start Tannehill, bench Cousins, and cut Baker.
Bingo.
Completely agree.
Yep. Lock it in.
Hashtag sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry, Shane.
Speak of the devil, he said start Baker. He understands he's biased. Bench Tannehill and
Shane would start Baker over Patrick Mahomes.
He needs to own that.
Wrong.
All right. Speak of the Vikings, we'll roll on to them. And yeah, of course, I knew this was coming. Shane said that.
I expect us all to have like hate mail from Shane when we get off this.
Probably going to be.
Yeah.
He still hasn't forgiven us for that Josh Allen take that he was better than Baker. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We'll roll on to the Vikings and go to the wide receiver position. One of the most explosive guys of the year, could win Rookie of the Year, Justin Jefferson. Right now, I looked up ADP, and believe it or not, the ADP is a lot closer than you would think with him and Adam Thielen. In redrafts, and I used ADP from Fantasy Football Calculator, and it goes from 2020 to February 2nd, 2021. So today, his average ADP, Justin Jefferson, is 46 overall for redraft, and Adam Thielen is 31 overall redraft. So at those ADPs, which I think we all agree that Justin Jefferson is going to shoot up draft boards as we get closer to the season. But where we expect their ADPs to be, who are you going to be drafting more of next season, Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen? And Justin, we'll start with you since you have the same name.
Sound logic. So I honestly, I fully expect Adam Thielen to fall a few slots. He'll probably end up around wide receiver 13 or 14. And I'm expecting Justin Jefferson to end up around wide receiver 10 is the kind of the logic I'm using here. And I'll take Thielen in the 4th round. I really think that's where he'll end up falling. Justin Jefferson's going to go early 3rd. And there's just too much talent around that spot that I'm still I'll take the you want to call it the grizzled vet in those ranges over I mean, again, I don't think it's a flash in the pan. There's always the opportunity. I'm gonna avoid risk that early in the draft. So I'll take Thielen 4th.
Well, just like Lamar Jackson this year and last year, drafting Justin Jefferson that high, he's got to repeat to return value.
Yeah.
Getting Thielen later, you've got a lot more wiggle room.
Yeah, no, that is, again, you're hearing what I'm not saying, basically. So yeah, you're dead on with that.
Marco?
I mean, I agree. Well, and I think the only thing I have to add to it is when I look at redraft and I look at, the first 3 rounds, I typically try to get at least 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds of redraft because they just start falling off really quickly. So I think Thielen will probably be the much better value because, if Jefferson's going in the 3rd, typically I'm probably going to take my second running back in the 3rd round if I haven't doubled up at, the beginning of the 2nd or something. So I think just based on how I typically draft, I would probably take the value of Thielen. That being said, I'm always wrong about Adam Thielen. I'm either way too low on him or I'm way too high. And so I'm just, I don't know if you want to trust me, but that's where I go.
Shane brought up a good point. He's right. Yeah.
That I'm smarter than Justin. He quoted it, so Justin definitely said that. So
we all heard it.
Dan, what you think? Who are you going to have more shares of next year?
Yeah, I'm going to take Adam Thielen. I think he's a certified member of the Robert Woods Underappreciated Wide Receiver Club. So in the 5th round, he's got wide receiver 15 plus potential. So there's no way I'm taking Jefferson at the ADP. He's going to be in like the early 3rd. Like you said before, like he has to pretty much break the rookie record again next year in order to get the value that people are drafting him. And there's just no way he's going to be able to do that. Or I'd be really surprised. I'm not saying there's no way. I'd be really surprised if he did. So I definitely go with the Thielen where he's going to be. And use those early picks for a top end running back.
Right. And it's not like any of us are saying that Justin Jefferson sucks. We all like Justin Jefferson. You're buying all the risk. And that's what you don't want to do. Yeah. And Dan and Marco, we need translation. What is it?
Shane says you guys are right. Baker does suck. That's what it says.
that is the exact translation. That's the very literal translation.
Oh, I don't even need Google Translate. We got you guys. So that works. Marco, you're going to have to come on the show every week now to be our translator. So
that's fair.
Come along since you said I'm smarter than you. So
I speak better Spanish than Marco. This is nonsense.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm so good at Spanish.
I love how you say Marco has to come on every week when I'm on the show all the time.
And Dan's the one who answered your question.
Yeah, but no. I was just trying to get rid of Dan. That's the thing. But
I get it. I try to get rid of Justin regularly.
I would like trade off or something. Like do like a parent swap, but instead do like a podcast host swap.
I would trade Jay for Justin in about 3 seconds.
What's with the hesitation?
One.
Carson wants to know in a 1 quarterback PPR league, what is the cheapest you would sell Justin Jefferson for in Dynasty? That's a very good question.
Oh, man.
1 QB PPR.
So, what comes to mind for me is 103 plus because I'd expect to get Jamar Chase there, and I want something on top of Jamar Chase. That's what it would take because in reality, at 103, you're drafting what you would hope to be Justin Jefferson or a season like Justin Jefferson. So you have to have more on top of that. I don't know what that is. That's the issue. That's very league dependent.
Justin Jefferson, because like you said, like you're hoping he becomes Justin Jefferson.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I agree, Justin. I think it's going to have to be 103 plus because I think Jamar Chase is going to be incredible. I mean, in college, there's not much you need to say here, but he was better than Justin Jefferson on the same team. And so I think it would be 103 plus. But that being said, I'm not looking to sell Justin Jefferson if I have him. He's such a young receiver. And for wide receivers, for a wide receiver who's already been in that wide receiver 1 discussion, wide receivers can do it for 7 years. They can do it for 8 years. Why sell out on this guy right now? Sure, he's at a really solid value. I don't see his value dropping anytime soon. So unless you're going to get like 103 and something you really love, I'm not looking to sell him, honestly.
Dan?
It would take a top 2 pick plus another top 7 pick at minimum.
Yeah. What you guys said value-wise is fair, but Like you said, I'm not looking to move Justin Jefferson. I would have to be way overpaid in order to move him.
He's one of those guys, I think, that falls into the range of untouchable. And when I say untouchable, no one's ever truly untouchable. I mark those players as, I know you have to pay way over value, so I don't expect you to. That's what when I say untouchable, I think that's kind of what we all mean.
Yep, 100%. I think we're all on board with that. Now, how much does his value change? One, if Cousins gets traded, and do you guys think he's going to get traded? And we'll start with you on this, Dan. So, how much does Justin Jefferson's value change if Cousins gets traded? And do you think he gets traded?
Well, going by the latest rumors, for example, say he gets traded to San Francisco for Garoppolo. It wouldn't tank him necessarily, but it would definitely drop him a couple spots for me because Garoppolo just isn't that good of a quarterback. I mean, he's a quarterback in a running system that has an elite tight end, so it doesn't really, he's just not that accurate. So while I think that Jefferson's talent is enough where you don't like go crazy over, dropping him in rankings, he definitely wouldn't be as high as he would otherwise with Cousins.
Yeah.
Marco?
Yeah, no, totally. So for me, I could see that. And honestly, for me, I didn't think Cousins was going to be on the move. But after our discussion yesterday, even Dan kind of got me like, oh, I could see it happening. So I think he's very persuasive. But if I had to go with my gut, I would say that Cousins isn't going anywhere. But would I be surprised if something like what Dan said happens? No. I think some of us get caught up sometimes in like, well, we just saw a big blockbuster trade. That doesn't really happen in the NFL. It really doesn't. And so as much as it makes sense, I have to go back to like, what's my gut? What are we used to seeing here in the NFL? And it's not that quarterbacks get traded that often in some sort of big blockbuster deal. So it happens. It's just not something that's super likely. So I'm going to say I don't think he gets traded. And so I think Jefferson's values kind of remains the same, except for maybe he develops a little bit more and gets a little bit better. So
yeah, and there's so many rumors flying around, with Watson or the Jets going to keep Darnold, what's going to happen. So there's more so rumors. And now, it feels like, oh, well, the Rams made a move now. The 49ers have to make a move. So
yeah.
It's
I think the only team he gets traded to is the Niners. In reality, I think that is the only team that makes sense. And if they do you want me to answer this?
Quick answer to this. No way. Not even close.
I wouldn't even look at this deal.
No, I'd reject it, and then I'd send you really mean letters in the mail, Shane.
Get it in a week. Just wait.
Yeah, you just have to sit there and just let the anticipation build.
No, so I think if Cousins does get traded, I'd also expect Thielen to be on the move this offseason because it could feel like a teardown. And they could just load up on picks. And then I think Justin Jefferson's value kind of stays where it is because he's going to absorb some of those targets from Thielen. And again, that is a wild theory saying Cousins and Thielen are both gone. But again, if I'm expecting Cousins to get traded, I think Thielen could potentially be on the move this offseason as well. And they could go full rebuild with Jimmy G and Justin Jefferson.
God, don't say that. I got chills just saying that sentence together.
Well, and it wouldn't make sense if they went full rebuild because they just paid Dalvin Cook, which is like the least trustworthy running back that you want to give a lot of money to if you're going to rebuild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rebuild manual, number one is not pay the running back.
Right. So that's why I don't know if a rebuild's in the books. But I do want to say if they did make a move and got Garoppolo, I think that would actually hurt any pass catcher's value outside of Dalvin Cook probably because, I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but Jimmy Garoppolo, he is. I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, there's a reason Shanahan has him throw like 8 to 10 times a game. It's because he's not that good. Like he's better than Mitch, sure, but I mean that's not something to strive for.
Yeah,
it's a great.
I think
point.
Justin's better than Mitch at this point, to be honest.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Speaking of Dalvin Cook, Marco, we'll let you go first here because you're very passionate. Where do you rank Dalvin Cook next year?
Okay, this is another guy that the Vikings just mess with me, I guess, because last offseason I said, hey, I'm baking into his ranking. I'm assuming he's going to miss 4 games, maybe 5 games. So I put him at my running back 10. I'm sorry. Everyone is watching. I've made an error. I get it. That being said, now that I'm like, okay, I'm going to rank him high.
I'm doing it again.
Yeah. No, I'm going to put him as my running back 5 probably. Obviously, I haven't done too much looking into this for 2021, but I don't think I can move him higher than 5 with the baked-in risk. And so,
all right, I'm going to throw this on you real quick, Marco, to interrupt you. I'm going to do a name with just you since you're the Dalvin Cook hater.
I'm not a hater. It's just I'm nervous about the guy.
All right, first one. Michael Turner or Dalvin Cook?
Michael Turner right now or Dalvin Cook? Definitely Turner.
Okay. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey. I would assume Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
I'm going based off ADP. Nick Chubb or Dalvin Cook?
Oh, that's a really hard one. But I'm gonna say Nick Chubb. I really love Nick Chubb. I think he's probably the best or the second best pure running back in the NFL. And so, I mean, he was in the running back 1 conversation this year, and he missed he missed a handful of games. I don't remember exactly how many. So I'm going to go Chubb, but it's really, really close.
All right, real quick, Dan and Justin, who would you go there? Chubb or Cook?
I'll take Dalvin just because of the receiving upside.
I'll take Chubb.
Derrick Henry, starting with you, Marco.
Oh, geez, man, this is not fun. I am for 2021.
Yes.
For 2021, I'm gonna go
next year.
I'm gonna go Dalvin actually here.
Wow.
And I think for me, Derrick Henry could be a different beast, but anytime we've seen a running back do what Derrick Henry just did this season, the next season is not something that you're super excited
he just did it 2 times in a row. So
right. Well, no, totally. And I think the other thing too with that is like what I talked about earlier, when you look at like the top 12 running backs year in and year out, typically there's like 5 to 7 of them that aren't there the next year. And Derrick Henry's already been a running back 1, I think 2 times, maybe 3, but I think 2. And so the likelihood that he does it for a 3rd year or a 4th year is like less than 30%.
I'm with you. Unless I can get him really late, I'm fading Henry next year too. Just that's the way I play. I would rather be a year too early. So that's just I'd rather miss out on that one good last year than be stuck with your first round pick being a bust.
Yeah, totally.
Dan,
I'm taking
Henry or Cook?
Henry for me.
Justin.
Cook. I'm gonna have Cook probably top 4 this year, somewhere in that range. So there's just not many guys I put ahead of him.
We got Shane wants to know Zeke or Cook next year.
For me, that's easy. It's Cook. And it goes back to what I was just talking about. Zeke has been a running back 1, I think 4 times. So I think he's got like a 5% chance of doing it for a 5th time if you look at historical data. So
you're way out on Zeke. I never thought I'd hear you say that.
I mean, he could do it if he has like an incredible season, but I'm definitely going Cook over Zeke.
I mean, I'm taking Cook as well, but I think Zeke is still going to be an RB1 this upcoming season.
I think Zeke's going to be a value. I think he burned a lot of people this year, and depending on where his ADP falls, I might wind up with a decent amount of them.
If he falls to the middle of the second,
well, I mean that's a great value.
I'm going to go Cook. I don't like Zeke at all next year. I don't think he's a top 7 back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'd go Cook as well, but if, like you said, Zeke goes in the second round, it's going to be hard to pass him up there. Jeff has a good one, and it's hard to necessarily say, but Najee Harris or Dalvin Cook. Let's say Harris winds up, I don't know, where would be
Pittsburgh.
Winds up in Pittsburgh.
Harris, 100%.
Harris.
It's not close. It's Harris for me.
It's Harris. Yep.
Wow. Okay. I'm taking Cook here still. I am a huge Dalvin Cook fan. Like I will take Dalvin Cook over the majority of running backs. I mean,
honestly,
only people I'd have ahead, would be CMC, Kamara,
Saquon or Cook.
Saquon. I'll take Saquon over him.
Yeah, 100%.
And then Cook would be my fourth. That's where he slots
that people are forgetting how good Barkley is.
Yeah. Yeah, Barkley's up there for me too. But yeah, I lean Najee.
So wait, Marco, if that's the case, so that means you have Najee as a top 5 back?
Well, I mean, if he ends up in Pittsburgh, it's hard to say because we don't know where he's going to go.
Okay. I'm just trying to gauge because if Cook will be your RB5, I'm just piecing stuff together.
Yeah, I just threw that out. I mean, he might be 6. I don't know, but no. He drinks wine with Justin. Yeah, for sure. But no, Najee's landing spot, it does matter to a degree, but I do see Najee being an RB1 in 2021. I really do. He's insane.
I'm with you.
All right. And our guy Scott has another good one for us. Henry or Zeke? I'm still going Henry.
Henry.
Even with the question, I'm going Henry there.
I'm taking Henry.
All
People
right.
don't want to admit people aren't going to like the fact that Zeke is not going to do that well this year. He just isn't. By the end of last year, Tony Pollard was outplaying him. He was. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Every time I saw him on the field, it saw a big run. I was like, oh, Zeke looks all right. And it turned out to be Tony Pollard. It wasn't Zeke. Moving on to the tight end position, people were calling for it this year. Might have been a year too early. I've still got a feeling I like him a lot, but I'm really worried that Irv Smith is going to be that guy that every year everybody calls for a breakout and it just never happens. Justin, what do you think? I know we talked about it. You're a pretty big fan of Irv Smith. You think it happens next year? I'm
pretty sure I tweeted out 4 or 5 times this year. The Irv Smith breakout is coming. So I'm just going to lock into that.
I said it was Preston Williams week like 6 times, so it doesn't get any worse than that. So
I've never said that, so I can be happy with that. But no, I'm still in on Irv Smith. I really am. I think he kind of looked like he was finding his footing on the second half of this season. So I mean, he's a guy I'm going to leave a lot of leagues with. Just waiting on tight end, and I'll go grab Irv Smith. I'm fine with it.
Marco?
Yeah, so I believe in Irv Smith. I think he's a pretty solid player, especially at the tight end position. He's an athletic freak. I think the only thing that could hurt him or be frustrating, I guess, for fantasy owners is he is looking like he's going to be probably an inconsistent production guy just because of the guys we've talked about in Dalvin, in Thielen, in Jefferson, if they do something with Kirk, So I think he could have some really big weeks and he could flirt with tight end 1 numbers if he does take that step. But I think we're looking at inconsistency for him next year, kind of regardless.
Kyle Rudolph's still in town too. They decided to.
Yeah, that's right.
I
don't get it.
Takes away. I couldn't believe it either. They extended him last year. I thought they were going to trade him, but if he takes away, and that's what it is. I like Irv Smith. I just don't like the situation.
Yep.
Dan?
I get that.
Yeah, that's 100%. As long as Rudolph is there, Irv Smith's value is always going to be kept, and there are just too many other upside guys around in tight end, which is volatile as it is as a position.
Hold on. We have to stop. We're legally obligated. You said upside. We have to stop. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Just snuck that one in there. Anyway,
sorry.
Upside. So I'm just going to take a bunch of other tight ends at that spot over him. I mean, he has the ability, but his opportunity isn't going to be close to where people want him to be.
We got another question from our guy Scott in the chat. Mixon or Zeke? It's Mixon with me with no hesitation.
Mixon.
Zeke. I will never draft Joe Mixon.
This one's honestly close for me, but I'm going to go Mixon.
Yeah.
What?
Mixon's terrible, but
he's so inefficient. It's crazy, but
yeah, Zeke's going to fall off a cliff. He's just going to.
We've got a question. Start, bench, cut, Big Irv, Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan. I will never cut Cole Kmet. I would be kicked out of the Cole Kmet club. That's not going to happen. I would start Kmet. I would bench Irv, and I would cut Tonyan. I'm not big in on Tonyan. So, Justin, who are you going with?
I'm the exact same. I think Tonyan's out of Green Bay, so I don't want to know what his value is like elsewhere.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I don't even care if he's still in Green Bay. He's just not that good. Like I don't care that people got excited that Aaron Rodgers locked onto him for a couple weeks. Like he's an average NFL player.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to start commit. I'm going to bench Tunyon and cut Irv.
Cut Irv.
Yep.
Wow.
Nothing to do with them. Nothing.
Well, that's a good segue into the next team, the Green Bay Packers. And we will roll with another name game for Mr. Robert Tonyan. Let me pull it up real quick, all the list of guys that I've got set up. All right, so Dan, we'll start with you. We'll go Dan, Marco, Justin. Obviously, Kelsey, Waller, Kittle. We're going with those guys. Logan Thomas.
Thomas.
Yep, same as well. TJ Hawkinson with Mr. Jared Goff. Dan?
Tunyon.
Wow. I'm Hawkinson, and it's not even close for me.
I don't trust Goff whatsoever.
It
has nothing to do with Hawkinson. It has nothing to do with Hawkinson.
Tunyon is in a similar situation to what he's in now. So, things could drastically change. But for, this part in the offseason, we got to, that's what we'll go with.
Well, I'm sorry. Let me reverse that because I realized that there's no receivers in Detroit, so it is actually Hawkinson.
Yeah, there's no one in Detroit.
There's no one in receiver. I mean, they're going to try out Justin a receiver. They're going to try out Justin a receiver next year. So
it's definitely Hawk, though. Yeah,
it's Hawk. My apologies, everyone.
Jeff is saying that Hawk is basically Dogecoin because it's going to the moon. So I'm with you there. All right. Who's the next one? Mark Andrews. We had a down year this year.
Andrews.
Dan?
Oh,
Andrews.
Yeah, Andrews for me too.
100%.
I think Andrews bounces back pretty well next year.
Mike Gesicki.
Oh, this one hurts my heart.
Jeff wants to know if Shane's a Chiefs or a Bucks fan now. He's got like 12, but it's not one of them. Good point. Kenny G and Jones are both free agents.
Yep.
Hawk's going to be the guy. And
I was
looking it up.
That's rebuilding too. So
right. Yeah. And I'm looking up. Me and Justin were talking about it on Sharp Football Stats. The Rams and this past year, the Rams and the Lions threw the ball to the tight end position virtually the same. The Rams were at 21%. The Lions were at 23%. So I don't think his target share is going to change losing Stafford and going to Goff.
Actually, good point. The coach there, Campbell, was a tight end. So if anything, he's going to throw it to him a lot more.
That's it. Hawk, tight end 1. You heard it from Dan.
I didn't say that.
Shane's fan this week because his wife is a Chiefs fan. And as we all know, happy wife, happy life. So Shane's going to be pulling
making that up. So. I think he's lying.
When has Shane ever told the truth?
Tough day for Shane.
Right. I'm going to go Tunyon over Gesicki to get back on track.
Oh, this one is actually close for me, and that shows you what I think of Tunyon. I think, but I'm going to go Gesicki because I believe in Tua. I really do, and I think that he will develop a little bit more. So it actually is close, but I'm going to go Gesicki.
I'm going to go Tunyon, and it makes me just so upset to say that. Just Gesicki doesn't carry the touchdown upside that Tunyon does right now, so you can't get away from that.
Yeah,
I'm with Marco on this one. I'm going Gesicki. I'll take his upside. Ding. All right, next Noah Fant. We need a bell every time he says upside. I'm gonna like they do the bell every time somebody says upside. All right, Noah Fant, Dan. We'll do 2 more after this.
Tunyon.
Oh man,
just because Son's going to be back.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for Fant to get all the underneath stuff, considering Judy there and Hamler's there and haven't really showed a little bit at the end of the year. So there's just way too many targets, and the quarterback isn't that great to begin with. So I can't take Fant over Tunyon.
I think that's it for me too. If Locke's back, I'm gonna stick with Tunyon. If they get somebody else, it might be a different story. But sorry, Marco.
No, you're fine. I'm just saying I agree. And I think, I mean, they also have Albert O. And so there's just, I think he's another guy who, even if he's really good outside of the quarterback, like he's going to see so much inconsistency.
Shane, I'm going to ban you from the chat. Yes, last week I butchered a ton of names, and I also said if the Bills and the Browns, a couple weeks ago, the Bills and the Browns could play in the Super Bowl. I was dealing with a lot.
Listen, I didn't even mention that this week, so that's all Shane this time. I left that alone.
What was the question? Is it Noah Fant?
Yeah.
How his name is? Tunyon. I am so far out. I'm done with the Drew Lock experiment. I'm just kind of done with Broncos right now until Drew Lock is gone.
Well, at least Elway saw, looked at the man in the mirror and stepped down. So I give him credit for there. So hopefully they actually find a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's still gonna. He's just gonna be a shadow GM in the back. He just doesn't want
That's
the blame.
a good one.
You guys want to? I don't even know it. I just know Miss Alberto.
Isn't like OB something?
It's like okay, right?
No. What the hell is his last name? Is it Obumaquang or a Quang or something like that?
You lost me there.
We'll do one last one. Hayden Hurst or Robert Tunyon. Dan.
I'm going to go Hurst.
I am going to go Hurst as well.
Same. I think he grows into his role this season with an actual off season.
Yeah, he was top 10 tight end last year. So
yeah.
All right, and one more. I lied. We're going to do one more, and this is an ugly one. Evan Ingram, Mr. Butterfingers. Dan. There you go, Ben. I like it. Boomerang. I like it. That's what we're known as Boomerang on this show.
I'm gonna go with Tunyon because Evan Ingram drops everything. As much as I love him because he drops everything, but I hope that the Giants resign him for a 7-year contract forever. But
zip it.
Hey, Gettleman's still there. Like I called, he was going to be. So.
All right, sorry, you're muted. I'm muting you now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say Tunyon as well.
Yeah, 100%. Robert Tunyon. Evan Ingram has entered just the most overhyped tight end conversation every single season, and all we do is point back. But like, remember his rookie year? Since then, I'm looking at it. He has not been a tight end one.
He's a good athlete with no hands.
So tough to do.
His rookie year when he went off, he was the only guy. Literally everybody else was hurt. The wide receivers they were starting, I don't even remember the guy's name because they were signing him off the practice squad and off of the street. So, of course, from a football perspective, I like him as a Giants fan, but I would go Tunyon over Ingram in a heartbeat, not think twice about it.
Yeah. At a certain point, you have to not just be athletic, but you got to know how to play football.
Yeah.
Ingram can't do it.
Thank you for your objectivity, Jay. That's really appreciated.
I play fantasy with my head, not my heart. So
don't do that. Just play with your heart. It's way better. It's way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Shane, you're pressing my luck here, Shane. I don't know. I might say that Njoku's a bigger disappointment.
Oh no!
That did not go how we thought it would.
What's funny is I wanted the Giants to draft Njoku. I didn't want them to draft Evan Ingram. I was so upset.
Listen, if anyone knows about disappointments, it's the Browns fan.
What about OJ Howard though? He might be worse at this point.
Oh, OJ Howard, that one kills me.
Yep.
OJ Howard was good for exactly 2 quarters. He was good.
He was
Yeah, that one hurts me more than Ingram, I think, because I really liked him.
Yeah, everybody did. Everybody. Well, you watch him, and he looks like he could be a stud.
Mm-hmm. He was marked as generational. I mean, he was the guy.
Winslow Jr., that was.
This is getting sad.
Yeah. I just had to talk about.
Yeah. Evan Ingram just brought the whole. I don't know. Ebron looked pretty good for where he was drafted. Yes, he was a bust, but he's pretty solid this year.
Yeah,
good Indy.
He's had a decent career. Yeah, he's been solid.
Not in Detroit.
Not 7th overall.
No.
Right, didn't he go 7th overall?
Something like that. Some high Crazy pick.
Yeah, my girl Gladys, she knows. She agrees with me and Joku.
Gladys.
Speaking of which, I think it's tomorrow, right? Isn't Gladys' show tomorrow?
Wednesday. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so everybody tune in tomorrow. Gladys has her first show. It's going to be on, let me double check the time. She's doing a debate style show. Tomorrow she's got Adam Rank and Samantha Privet, however you say her last name. They are going to be on tomorrow. What's 2-point conversion, right?
Conversion,
I think it's
so, yeah.
Gladys, what time is it on tomorrow? If you're still in the chat with us, it was 10th overall for Ebron, is what Ben said.
Way too high.
Yeah. That's why you don't take a tight end that high. Kittle was like a third round pick or something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Peter Pettigrew. I don't even know that one. All right, so everybody that you're watching, tune in tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Gladys is going to be on with Adam Rank and Samantha. I think it's Privet. I'm not sure. I apologize for butchering your last name. Mine gets butchered all the time.
That's why you never get people on the show, because you can't say their goddamn names.
Yeah, watch it. This is a family show.
That's true.
We'll be doing a debate style show. I believe it's called the 2-point conversion.
You've had Shane on the show. It's definitely not a family show.
Well, that's why Shane's not on right now, and he's in the chat. Jeff, you're killing me, man. He said you should do a show where Jay just says names. I'm like Dingus. Dingus is bad at saying names too. So, moving on. Is Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams re-signed with the Packers? And if neither of them do, where do you guys rank AJ Dillon? And Justin, we'll start with you. So 3-part question. Aaron Jones re-signed. Is Jamal Williams re-signed? And where are you ranking AJ Dillon?
So Aaron Jones, no, I think he's out. He's priced, and he should price himself out of town. I mean, and especially with the Packers cap situation, they have no money to pay. Jamal Williams, I think, will stick around. You can get him cheap. He's not someone you have to break the bank for. So I think Williams returns and, again, assumes almost an identical role to what he had this year. And that leaves A.J. Dillon, I think, as a mid-tier RB2. He's not going to have – I don't think he has the receiving upside that's going to push him into that top, you're going to call it the RB1 tier. I think over the last 5 years, it's, I think 43 catches is the average of the RB1 position. And basically the only outliers are Derrick Henry and LeGarrette Blount that have just, less than 20 catches and still finish in that range. So he has to be Derrick Henry or potentially be over 35 catches, which I don't really anticipate because of, that is the one thing I'm not considering. His thighs they're bigger than me. Like, they really are. I mean, if his size increases another size, RB1. But
our guy, Owen Kelly, who's been with us since the other show, thanks for tuning in. He agrees. It's Jamal. He thinks Jamal Williams resigned. So let me ask you this, Justin. The scenario you said happens. Williams resigns. Aaron Jones is gone. Where are you comfortable drafting AJ Dillon next year? What round? PPR.
Yeah. This is the thing. PPR is a huge indicator in this. Even it changes with half PPR with him even. But PPR, I'm probably going to look for him. He's probably back of the third, beginning of the fourth, somewhere in that range. He's going to slot in around Kareem Hunt and some other guys that people are excited about. He's going to be a tier break.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree. I don't think I would want him at the back of the third, but I do think that's probably where he'll land.
Yeah.
Just because the inherent risk that he brings, and to take that much risk in the third is a lot.
If Aaron Jones is gone, though, I don't know if he's a big risk because I think they'll feed him at that point.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is going to dictate his value.
Right. But I mean, we also thought that with Derrick Henry and what's the other guy they had? Their pass catcher. Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis, and Matt LaFleur was like, no, we should use Deion Lewis because he's an idiot. So there's that. No, I understand what you're saying. I think that's probably where he'll land. And I do agree with Justin. I think Jamal Williams comes back. I don't think Aaron Jones comes back. And I I think, and I know this might be hot takey, so I apologize if it is, but if Aaron Jones goes anywhere that's not the 49ers, he's a guy, I mean, he's still going to be a solid player, but he's a guy I'm not excited about next season.
Really?
I mean, I think he's going to be a good, like, he'll be a solid play, but I worry about him if he's anywhere that's not the 49ers a little bit. He's still going to be a good player, but he's not going to be the Aaron Jones we've seen this year.
What about Atlanta or Arizona?
Miami.
Arizona's interesting.
You're going to keep throwing places out.
I think Arizona and Pittsburgh are probably the only two that are interesting to me. But even then, I'm a little worried about him because, I mean, going back to what I've been saying, for the past couple on running backs, he's been a running back 2 times now. So I think he's got like a 31.3% chance of being a running back 3 times, unless he's like a really elite guy. He's just the percentages don't work in his favor unless he ends up on a Shanahan style offense.
That's very fair.
So Scott says Cardinals. Shane says, what about the Bills? Gladys says, what about her Steelers? And then, of course, Jeff says Buffalo.
He could literally end up on 10 different teams. And I mean, so if he ends up in any of these,
imagine on the Steelers.
On the Steelers, yeah. Where do you put him then, Marco? Like, where are you guys? Actually, question everybody. Where are you taking him if he lands on the Steelers?
Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer right now. But that's the problem. That's what
Thanks
I'm
for
talking
tuning
about.
in, folks. That's the kind of analysis you get on this show.
I don't know.
Yeah. Over to 14P.
Great. Figure it out. And Marco is no longer associated with goingfor2.com.
No, but I honestly, like, that's the issue is, like, I don't know because we have no idea where he's going to go. Like I said before, the odds of him actually being an RB1 again this year are pretty low. They're 30 or less. And then if we're thinking dynasty wise, the odds of him being RB1 after next year are like abysmal. So that's why, like, in dynasty, I'm getting rid of him. And in redraft, he's a guy who's still probably going to flirt with RB1, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like a high-end RB2 next year.
Yep. I think Scott makes a good point, too, in the chat. He said if the Steelers, San Francisco, Atlanta, he'll go in the second. I'll tell you what, if he wants up for San Francisco, I think he goes into the first.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. San Francisco, I think, is the only team that puts him into the first round this year.
Analysis of upside. Michael Turner upside.
I'm never going to live on Michael Turner.
Nope.
I said it way too excited.
Yeah, he did. Michael Turner. That was fantastic. That just made the whole show.
So proud.
What?
So many people stopped watching when I said that.
Literally tanked viewership. It went down by like 20 people.
Ben makes a point. And with Arthur Smith, that would be a lot of fun.
It would be fun. I think that if Jones is not going to get re-signed, Williams is going to stay, and I think AJ Dillon will be running back 9 next year.
Wow. I like that, though.
Bold call. I like it. Dan, your chest puffed up a little bit when you said that.
Call my shots.
Running back.
Running back number 9.
A little bit of the rock, with the eyebrow going too. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, we'll roll on to the Lions and the big news of the week. Dan mentioned it to me. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. With the big trade and having our NFC North show, is Jared Goff going to be a viable play as a super flex quarterback? Justin, we'll start with you.
Super flex, yeah. You could add. I mean, with super flex, you really can't be too picky when you're looking for your second quarterback. Unless you want to spend huge draft capital, you're going to be looking for guys that really are in the streaming range, and I think that's where Goff will play. And game script is going to be in his favor. That they're going to have to throw so much. That defense won't be able to stop many people. Goff could throw 40 to 45 times a game, realistically. Things are going to get so out of hand there. That's the only way Goff ends up being viable. So, again, I'm not excited to start him, but in Superflex, you may not really have a choice as your second quarterback.
Well, that's a good time for the question that Kyle asked us a little bit ago. Do you think Hawk and Swift will both get 100 targets next year? Let's say Kenny's gone, Marvin Jones is gone.
If they don't do anything with the wide receiver at all,
They have to do something.
Well, but I'm saying, like, if they don't take a first or second round wide receiver and they don't bring in a free agent, if they take a wide receiver in like the third round or later, I think Hawk is a lock for right around 100 targets. And I think Swift could get close. I could see Swift landing somewhere from like 80-ish targets though. But I know they are trying to use him in a Kamara style role. So
I think you already said that you want to use him in the slot.
Right. Well, and I mean that is exciting, but I think realistically he could be anywhere from 80 to 100. I would give him a little bit on the under of 100, but
Shane's got a question for us. You knew who was coming. Jared Goff.
In fantasy, or just as an NFL quarterback?
Both.
As an NFL quarterback, I'm probably gonna take the potential upside of Baker. In fantasy, I'm going to take Jared Goff because of what Justin said with the what
upside.
I owe you guys like $1 now.
Yep.
I'm going to have to get like the Mario coin sound or something like that.
There we go. Nintendo's going to sue us if we do that. You know that, right?
Okay, then something that kind of sounds like that, even though it's not that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in fantasy, I'm going to lean Goff because of what Justin said. I think the game script is just going to force him to throw the ball a lot, no matter how bad he is. Just like the volume is going to be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'd lean the same way.
Yeah, I think that there's so much uncertainty surrounding Detroit. Like even we don't know what kind of offensive system they're going to run because the coach is brand new too. We don't know where our receivers are going to be in there except for Cephas. There's so many unknowns, but I think that it's especially in Superflex. I mean, the options are so limited that you'd have to, he would definitely be an option there. I mean, he's still going to throw, and you still have like Hawkinson and Swift, so he can dump off, and those yards and points still count. As far as the Goff or Baker question, I just think that Baker is in a much better offensive system with better weapons, so I would have to go Baker.
Justin?
Baker in real life for sure at this point, and I hate saying that. And then give me Goff in fantasy, just because the Browns, if they don't have to pass, they're not gonna. They can just run it down your throat with Nick Chubb, and that's what they want to do. That is a Kevin Stefanski style offense. So I'll take Goff, but again, I don't feel good about that still.
I think I'm going Baker, and if things are with no Kenny G, with no Marvin, if Quintez Cephas, is that how you say it? Cephas?
Cephas.
Is it Cephas?
Cephas.
Cephas?
Yeah. God bless you. If it's Quintez Cephas, Bo Cephas, if he's the only one, I'm just going to go with Baker. If they are able to sign or draft a number one type wide receiver, then I will lean Goff. If he was in LA, I would go Goff and not think twice. But I just too many unknowns with
I don't think Justin said Baker.
He didn't.
Yeah, see, Dan.
I said in real life, said Baker.
Like
not in
fantasy.
No chance. Maybe there's a small chance, but
yeah.
Cephas.
All right, and speaking of the wide receivers, where do you guys think Kenny Golladay is going to wind up? Dan, we'll start with you on this one.
Green Bay.
Green Bay. They don't have any monies. You got to have money to.
They'll figure it out.
The salary cap's fake.
It's a pretend thing. They'll extend Rodgers and they'll drop a salary cap to like $1 and it'll be fine.
Oh, I hate that. I know that's true. Like that's what makes me angry.
Yep.
Oh man. Honestly, so I could see Kenny Golladay going to somewhere like Houston. I think he would be an interesting fit there. And if they are going to commit to being like, hey, we're not trading Watson, which I mean, I wouldn't blame them for trying to hold on to him.
He said today that he will sit out the season if he doesn't get traded.
And that honestly would be
whether he knows or not, I don't know, but
yeah, but I think to me the two teams that come to mind are Houston and actually your Giants.
No way.
I would like that. We need an alpha one. I could see the Giants happening.
And I feel like Daniel Jones, he needs someone he can like close his eyes and chuck it to.
Yeah.
So
we've got a bunch of wide receiver twos, and Golden Tate's gone, thank goodness. I love Sterling Shepard, but he's not a number one wide receiver.
Yeah, not at all.
Quick point. Who's your wide receiver too? What kind of receivers do you have? You said you had wide receiver 2 type receivers? They're like wide receiver 4 type receivers, maybe. Not wide receiver 2s.
Sterling Shepard, when he's healthy, he's a wide receiver 2.
Yeah. How many is that? Like two games a year?
Yeah, something like that. But
I think the Jets, honestly, the Jets over the Giants would probably be a better situation.
Maybe.
I think he lands in New York. Take that the way you want. It could be either.
I think he's going to wind up with the Washington.
What a cop out!
No, it's going to be the Giants. That's my pick, legitimately. It makes sense. They need a guy that can go up and get the ball. He will match. He matches well with Slayton on the other side, Shepard in the slot. Like, he just makes sense with the other receivers they have on that team.
I would be ecstatic if that happens. So I don't expect it.
I have an interesting. I don't know what their salary cap situation is, but say Godwin lands somewhere else, which I think a lot of people are thinking he will. Say Brady wants to come back for 1 year. Do you think the Bucs say, "Hey, let's go get Kenny Golladay"?
If they let Godwin go, I could see that happening.
Yeah,
but if they're talking about what's that?
He feels redundant with Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But
I think he's going to wind up in Washington. I could see him playing in the opposite of Terry McLaurin.
Oh, I love that.
That would be. I would hate it as a Giants fan, but as a fan of football, that would be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
And Shane agrees with us. The cap isn't real.
The cap and Connecticut, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Ingram's to go up and get a guy in New York. Yeah, but the problem is he can't catch it. He goes up and it bounces off.
He goes up and hits it with his head.
He volleyball spikes.
You know what? I'm glad, because if he would have caught that pass against the Eagles, we would have made the playoffs and would have had like pick 19 or 20. So
I'm still mad. That drop lost me a decent sized bet. I was very angry. I was yelling at my TV. I was so mad.
That's your fault for betting on the Giants. So even though
it's also betting against the Eagles is always smart. That's the thing. Like that's
true. I'll give you that.
Rock in a hard place, really.
So we touched on this earlier a little bit. Are you guys still high on TJ Hawkinson? And Justin, will roll with you.
Yeah. Short answer, yes. I think he's going to be great. He might be overdrafted this year, so I may not have him in redraft, but that doesn't mean I'm not expecting a solid season from him.
Marco?
Yeah, I completely agree. I love Hawk. I think he's going to be probably. I mean, even with Goff, I think he's going to be a perennial top 3 tight end. I really do.
Dan?
Top 3.
Yeah, I like him. I don't think he's going to be a top 3. I'm not excited about him as Marco is, but I think he's going to be like a consistent tight end in fantasy, which is hard to come by nowadays. Although Justin should trademark Hawk Lock immediately before someone else takes it.
I already have shirts, so it's fine.
Talk to the guys at Meridian Global. They'll make you some Hawk Lock shirts and get a little money.
I saw in the chat, I think it was Ben had a Hawk Lock and Drop It. I'm like, damn, that's
there
good.
You go.
That's good.
That's Ben's now.
Yep.
There it is.
Ben's hosting a show for us in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, there we go.
That's what you get with Ben. Just be
there you go.
Yeah.
Terrible puns.
Yes.
Terrible. Well, hopefully JL's not watching, so otherwise he might go off the deep end with some.
Yeah, he's sensitive with puns, that guy.
Quick question for you guys, though. If Hilton leaves, do you see Golladay going to Indy?
I saw today that they said that they were looking at Godwin, so I could, obviously they want another wide receiver. They said that they were looking to re-sign Hilton and sign Godwin. So they're looking at boost.
They have like $1 billion in cap space, so they can.
Yeah, they can get anybody they want, legitimately.
Yeah, but I don't think Golladay is the kind of guy they're looking for because of who they have in Pittman. I think if they are going to sign one of those guys, it's going to be like a Godwin or a Juju, because I think they know what they have in Pittman. I think it's pretty evident that he's going to be a very good player, and so I think they're looking for a guy who can be a little bit more versatile, do a little bit more things across the field, the middle of the field. And that's why I think maybe a Godwin or a Juju makes sense.
Yeah.
And Shane likes it.
Thank you, Shane.
That almost guarantees that it's not going to happen.
And I believe, is there with Goff in town, you guys knocking down DeAndre Swift at all? Do you think it, status is pretty much the same, up, down? What are you doing with them next year? And Dan, we'll start with you.
I'm going to knock down Swift because when they signed Frank Gore to replace
To replace the Adrian Peterson.
to replace Adrian Peterson, that's when I'll knock down Swift. But the quarterback doesn't really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'd use it if anybody's panicking on him. I'd use it a chance to try to buy low if you can.
Yeah, I've got DeAndre Swift in a lot of my dynasty leagues, and people have been like asking, like, "Oh, well, they just got Goff," so like, I'm like, "Shut up! He's gonna be awesome."
Now, so I'll give you a mid-second for him.
Right. That's the thing. Is like, I mean, sure, Goff might affect him, but we just talked about like they're going to be putting him out in the slot. They're going to be. I mean, he's going to be most of what this offense is.
It's going to be volume next year versus which is what you want in fantasy.
The new OC is Anthony Lynn, and he turned Austin Eckler into a PPR superstar.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen with DeAndre Swift? Because as much as I think Anthony Lynn is not a great coach in terms of a head coach, they had a great offense there for years.
Yep. He is. There's some guys that just aren't made to be head coaches.
Right. So I have no issue investing in DeAndre Swift, especially with Anthony Lynn there. We touched on, he could see 100 targets legitimately. So he could see a CMC type workload this year, and it would be glorious.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Shane makes a really good point.
How dare you?
They're basically the same person. So Todd Gurley had Goff as his quarterback when he went off before his knee fell off. So that's a really good point.
Ken Akers did too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cam Akers next year. It's not our NFC West show, but I'm in love with Cam Akers. But that's for another.
I love him so much.
What scares me is that Justin and I really like a lot of the same players, and that worries me. Like I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Same. So that's terrifying.
Yeah. Anthony just stop at the end of each half.
Anthony Lynn versus the clock is one of the greatest rivalries in sports. He's like Owen. He's 0-15 though. It's fantastic.
Shane, I love you, but you're not nicer than Dan. You guys are both very mean people. Maybe mean's the wrong word.
I'm not mean.
What do you guys think? Yeah, well, that's why we get along so well.
I haven't said anything mean to Justin in like half an hour.
Yeah. All right, we'll roll on. This is more of a real life NFL versus fantasy. Who's your early favorite? It's very, very early in the offseason. Super Bowl hasn't even happened. All things considered right now, who's winning the division next year? Justin?
Green Bay. What are we doing? Like, Chicago, we're not going to get anybody that's going to really move the needle at quarterback unless Ryan Pace just from the top rope goes and makes a move for somebody like Deshaun Watson and gives up Roquan and whoever else. But I just don't see any way we get over them or get over the Packers. So it's going to be Green Bay.
Sorry. I agree. I think it's Green Bay. I mean, we just talked about it. The Vikings potentially could be blowing some things up this season. The Lions just did blow things up, and the Bears don't have a quarterback still. So, I mean, that you can't do too much with that. So,
yeah, it's Green Bay. I mean, there's nothing. What are we talking about? Yeah, no one else even has a shot.
All right, I'm just answering the questions. You don't have to get an attitude, Dan.
The hell, Jay?
I'll do what I want.
Yeah, I'll do what I want to, and I'll mute all three of you guys. But no. All right, so some players you guys are targeting in fantasy for 2021. Marco, we'll start with you. Who's some guys?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Allen Robinson because I think the Bears are going to bring him back. They're going to find a way to bring him back. They're going to tag him or something with the transition tag. But I do think Allen Robinson will be back in Chicago. And so Robinson's going to be my first guy. And then my second one, we've talked about him quite a bit, so I'll just say it quickly, is DeAndre Swift. We just talked about, the game scripts and the volume he's going to see. So those are my two.
Justin?
Adam Thielen. We hit on him at the top of the show or near the top. He's good. He's going to be a value. He's going to enter Robert Woods territory, and he could, again, easily finish as a top 10 wide receiver. And then, like Marco said, DeAndre Swift. I think, I'd be willing, and this is premature, I haven't done rankings or anything. I'd be willing to take him at the end of the first. I am that confident in him.
Dan?
I'm going to go with Quintez Cephas.
Yeah, like that.
He's going to be a bargain. He's probably going to be like the fifth or sixth receiver you draft.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to be the only guy that's going to be worth a damn catching at the receiver position, catching balls there. So
the only thing that worries me with him is he's going to get the helium treatment from Twitter because everybody and their grandma's talking about him, and they're going to shoot his ADP up. So I think in your home leagues that don't follow it as much as us, I think that he's going to be a steal. But I worry his ADP with the helium in the fantasy football community. And my dog apparently wants to go to the bathroom. So.
Well, I think. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I say mine, Marco? Is that okay? You just want to host the show? Hold on. Here, we'll switch. Yeah, Marco.
I did it.
Don't touch me, man.
I did it. Wait, am I at a COVID risk since I was in your square?
Yes, you are. You need to go get tested. Sorry to do that to you. And you are not allowed to leave that room for 14 days. So.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna establish a peak corner next.
Yeah, that's the number one thing you do.
Just for those 5 seconds, the viewership shot up 400%, and now it's gone.
It happens. Number one for me is, of course, Cole Kmet, and it all depends on ADP. If he gets talked up, then I'm not going to do it. But if I miss out,
you got to stop acting like you invent.
So thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Cole Kmet. Yes, I did not invent the Cole Kmet Club. A lot of us did. There's a bunch of people from a bunch of different websites.
It was you. Say it.
Yeah. No.
Say it, Jay. It was you.
Jared Goff is a guy I think I'm going to target a lot in Superflex because I think he's going to be dirt cheap, and I think he's going to put up decent numbers. He's somebody who I will be happy to have as my number 2 in Superflex. And they said Chark and Kmet. It's some guys that our guy Scott's going after next year, it looks like. And if I've heard some rumors that LA might look for a deep threat, if Marvin Jones winds up with the Rams, I know it's not in the division, but he's associated with the division. He's somebody who I would be targeting as well, being Matt Stafford's deep threat in LA. And Shane wants to know, what about
Green Bay? That's the spot for him, I think.
Marco, what are you doing with Michael Turner next year?
I mean, he's not on my Dynasty team, so I don't have to do anything with him. I just hold him.
And some guys that you're fading. Marco, is there anybody that you're fading next year from this division?
Yeah, so for me, and I'm sure this is going to be a popular one, David Montgomery, we talked about it. There's no way he does what he did this year. So David Montgomery is a big one. And I'm gonna stick with the Bears because I think Darnell Mooney will still continue to see hype as we get closer to the season. And we've talked about it. He could be a good wide receiver too for the NFL, but unless they get a guy that we're not looking at quarterback back there, he's just not going to be able to give you any sort of real value. So I think he probably belongs on waivers in most leagues, unless you're like a super deep roster where he can be in redraft. I'm thinking here where he can maybe be value to fill in here and there. But those are the two guys I think I'm fading, and it kills me because they're both Bears.
Justin, what about you?
Robert Tonyan. I said it earlier. I don't think he's in Green Bay next season, so I just don't. If Rodgers isn't throwing him the ball, I'm not too interested. And I had a second player, but I'm starting to rethink it because I have a feeling his ADP is not going to match anywhere near what he did this season. It was going to be David Montgomery, but again, I can see the show notes. So if everybody's fading David Montgomery, there will be a point where he hits a value.
Let me ask you this then. Tariq Cohen's back.
Yep.
Where are you comfortable taking Montgomery?
Probably in the 5th again, where he was going this season.
Yeah, I would take him in the 5th.
I think he could land there realistically because the narrative of he was so overinflated because of the schedule, it's going to be he's not going to have a hype train this offseason. Nobody's going to get on that. Mm-hmm. So his value is going to continue to plummet, especially with the rookie running backs coming in. So to not answer the question, I'm not fading Dave Montgomery anymore. Right now.
Dan?
I will be fading David Montgomery because I just think because number one, I can actually follow directions, and number two, And number two, I just think that, he like we were talking about before, he's not going to repeat what he did last year. I think that people are going to overdraft him. And another guy that I'm going to draft, not based on talent, just based on where he's going to be drafted, is Justin Jefferson. I think people are going to go nuts on where he's going to be, and there's just no way I'm going to take him where he's going to need to be taken in order to be on my team. It's just going to be way too high, and there's going to be other much more value drafting later on. So
he's going to have to match his production from this year to return value where he's going to have to go. And like we were talking about, like with Lamar Jackson this year, that's why he was a bust. He was still good, but people taking him too high, you don't return value. I'm with you guys, everybody but Justin, since he decided he's changing his mind in the middle of his show. David Montgomery, and then Allen Robinson. And it's based off of a good point that Justin made. Believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe that.
Yeah, nobody believes.
If Robinson goes somewhere else where he's going to have a competent quarterback, the hype train is going to be unreal, because we all know Allen Robinson is immensely talented. He's always had garbage quarterbacks, but he's not going to see the target volume that he's getting in Chicago. So I think it's going to balance out, and I credit to Justin for this. I think he hit the nail on the head. I think he's going to stay in that 8 to 10 range, and he's going to get thrown up there. I think if he winds up with a good quarterback, one of the first 5 wide receivers taken.
Yeah, he's going to skyrocket up boards. And it's going to be the Stephon Diggs effect. But the thing is, Diggs saw an increase in targets. I don't think Allen Robinson sees that. He doesn't give you the yak. He doesn't give you the contested catches that you need. It's this. He kind of is what he is, and he's great. I'm a huge Allen Robinson fan, but I don't think he gets. Oh, I agree with you. I'm just saying he's not target proof, though. That's the thing. I don't think he sees 150 targets again, which he saw in back-to-back seasons already. It's just, again, if he's going around wide receiver 8 or 9, I'll draft him 100% because I think that's where he belongs. But I think he'll go higher.
All right, and we'll give this question to the Bears fans. The Bears draft a running back. Who isn't what round? We already know.
Third round.
Michael Turner, is that what you said?
Michael Turner. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if we do. I don't think we spend the draft capital on one. We got Tariq Cohen. You got David Montgomery. The pick just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So we'll see, but I don't expect them to spend, top 3 round draft capital on a running back.
Dan, you have any input, even though I said the Bears fans?
No, I don't think they do there. I mean, Montgomery isn't like that bad where it would make sense to sink draft capital into drafting someone else.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Although Marco thinks they're going to draft Michael Turner, but that's here nor there. That about wraps it up for the fantasy content. We do ask every guest that comes on to bring an interesting fact about themselves that the fantasy community does not know about them. We're all a pretty tight-knit community, so everybody knows a good amount about each other's lives. Marco, you look like you're ready to like this is just jumping out that you want to say something. So I'm going to go with you first on this. What is something interesting that the fantasy community does not know about you?
So I actually forgot to look at this part of the sheet, but I have some
case because it's blank on the show sheet.
Yeah, that checks out. Similar to my schoolwork, when I used to be in college, I didn't do it. So that's my interesting fact. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that interesting, I guess, but I'm a type 1 diabetic. So I've been a diabetic since I was 4, so 26 years. And it's not like, oh, he's a diabetic. It's a thing. So that's an interesting kind of fact. So don't get in my DMs and be like, I feel so sorry for you. You can't eat sugar. I eat sugar a lot, so it's okay.
Are you okay, Marco?
Just please accept me.
You need a hug, man. I feel like you need a hug.
Yeah, from anyone but Jay right now.
Yeah. 6 more days and then I can give you a hug. So
right. Yeah, there you go.
Justin, what about you?
My interesting fact is that Marco being diabetic has inconvenienced my life a lot more than I'll give you 2. 1. A lot of people don't.
1. Pick 1.
Doing 2. 1.
Go for you.
me and Marco are related. We are half brothers. A lot of people do not know that.
Yes,
you would guess it because we don't look anything alike. Like Marco's 5'5".
I can see it.
A little bit going on there. And then I guess second was in college, my study abroad trip. I lived on a cruise ship for 4 months and went to like 12 countries.
That is all. I love
it.
it.
Was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. And I peaked at 20. And it has been
all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Cratering back to earth.
Weirdly, this is the first time I've ever agreed with Justin.
Yeah. It's a well-known fact. My friend's like, yeah, dude, 20, it's never getting better. It's like, thanks, guys.
Yeah, Shane gets it.
Shane agrees with us. Clearly, you definitely peaked it. Really appreciate you guys coming on the show. Again, you can follow them on Twitter. Justin is at Justin_14P. Marco is at Marco_14P. I'll give you guys another chance to plug where you can find your work, and this time Marco will go with you first.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on 14personnel.com. You can find me at goingfor2.com. And we're going to start February 18th. We're doing the Dynasty Gambit live stream. So that'll be awesome with Going for Two. And then you can also find me at dynastynerds.com. I'm doing player profiles and stuff like that for them in the next couple of weeks. So you can check me out there. And don't forget, Fantasy Combine. Even if you don't want to participate, we love all donations going to St. Jude and Melanoma Research Alliance.
Justin?
My turn, yeah. Okay. You can find all my work over at 14personnel.com and then coming up here shortly at dynastyleaguefootball.com as well. Not really sure what I'm writing there, but it's going to be something. So that'll be cool.
He's writing staff bios. It's not related.
Go ahead and check your DMs. Action. They saw that and they're like, yeah, maybe not.
Ryan saw it and he's like, not, no chance. But yeah, so and then Fantasy Combine. I am going to plug. We have a Dynasty show kicking off next Thursday with Ben Cordelis and Jay Arsht, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Could have butchered it. Sorry, man. But yeah, the Dynasty Double Wing will be every Thursday at, I think, 7:30 Central. I'm guessing. I don't
remember.
But catch the 14 Personnel podcast tomorrow. And we'll have the
14 Personnel on Twitter, and you will find out what time that show is. What's the 14 Personnel handle?
At 14P_pod.
Big underscore.
Yeah, obviously they love the underscore.
Right.
Well, don't forget to follow our show's Twitter page. It's at Pod with Upside, and we've got a bunch of shows coming up. I think 6, and maybe even some more in the works. At the Going for Two Podcast Network, at Twitter, follow us at Going for Two Live. On YouTube, it's Going for Two Live Going for Two Live. And on Twitch, it's Going for Two with .com spelled out. Dan, you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nah.
Nah?
No.
Yes.
I'm over the show, to be honest. I'm over these guys.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Gladys. Really appreciate it. Do not forget, tune in to Gladys' show tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Thankfully, Ben is in the chat. 8:30 Central.
My guy.
The whole Central.
Yep. Shane says excellent preparation. He even plugged your podcast, your website, Twitter page. So again, thank everybody for tuning in. We will be back on the 11th. We've got a couple of really great guests lined up. We're done with these guys, so we've got some good guests coming up. Yep, and we'll be announcing the next couple of guests that we have. But our show will be back on February 11th at 8 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and the Bears suck.
But wait, Jay, where can they find your work and mine?
I asked you if you had anything.
Surprise, Dan does have things to say.
All right, Dan. Continue.
Yes. Okay. So you can find me at goingfor2.com. I'm a Dynasty lead writer over there. Currently figuring out ways how to fire Marco the worst possible way I can.
It's live. That's how it is.
Yeah. Marco, you're fired. I'm also contributing at 14 personnel. I'm doing some Dynasty stuff over there. I really appreciate the guys having me there. There's some great guides. It's a great site to check that out. And you can find me here every other week with Jay, trying to figure out where I went wrong in my life.
Every minute of it. You love every minute of it. You missed me when I wasn't here on Thursday.
I didn't at all. It
Yes,
was the best show of my life.
uh-huh. It was a fantastic show. I give you credit. It was good.
Thank you. I got to talk about the Eagles as much as I wanted. I didn't have to listen to you at all. I didn't have to look at your face.
All right, we're good with that. Well, you can find me on Twitter at GMenJ. I'm a lead writer at Going for Two, as well as lead editor at Sleeper Wire. And other than that, I think that's finally a wrap. Gentlemen, anybody else other than Dan, would you like to add anything?
I think that covers it.
Especially definitely go check out the Fantasy Combine that they're doing, the videos. There have been some that have been, really good people actually trying. There have been a lot that have been hilarious. It's all for cause. Definitely check it out. Even if you don't want to, contribute or participate, just retweet it, get it on more eyes. It's a lot of fun, and it's for a good cause. So everybody stay safe and, have a good weekend.
Enjoy the Super Bowl. Thanks for coming on, guys.